The sky looked like it was tearing itself apart. I'd been driving for hours, just trying to outrun the storm, but it was like the thing had a personal grudge against me. Every few seconds, lightning cracked so bright it turned the world white, and the thunder followed so close behind it felt like it was inside the car with me. My wipers were slapping frantically, but they barely made a dent in the rain hammering the windshield. The air smelled like wet dirt and electricity. My hands were slick on the steering wheel. I was the only idiot out on that stretch of road. Miles of forest on both sides, no cell service, no headlights in either direction. Just the sound of rain, tires slicing through water, and that occasional low rumble of thunder rolling through my chest. That's when I saw her. At first, I thought it was just the storm playing tricks on me, a pale flicker at the edge of my high beams. But then she stepped forward, out of the rain-soaked darkness, into the yellow cone of light. A girl, maybe mid-20s, barefoot, wearing a white dress plastered to her skin, her hair hanging like a soaked curtain. Her arms were wrapped around herself, shaking. Instinct took over. I slowed down, rolled the window halfway down, and leaned out. "Hey, you okay?" She didn't answer right away, just stared at me like she wasn't sure I was real. Then, barely audible through the downpour, she whispered, "I'm going home." That should have been my cue to keep driving. Any sane person would have. But there was something about the way she said it. Soft, almost like she was saying it to herself. So I unlocked the passenger door. "Get in, you'll freeze out there." She hesitated a second, then slipped into the seat. The smell of rain and cold air rushed in with her. I turned the heater on full blast. She didn't look at me, didn't speak again, just stared out the windshield, raindrops streaking across her face where the water hadn't dried yet. "What's your name?" I asked after a while. She didn't look at me. She said, "It doesn't matter. Just, please, take me home." "Sure. Where's that?" She lifted a trembling hand and pointed straight ahead. And so I drove. The road curved through the woods, every turn flashing with lightning, the trees bending and twisting in the wind like they were alive. I kept glancing at her. She didn't move, didn't blink much either, just whispered sometimes under her breath the same phrase over and over, so quietly I wasn't even sure I heard it right. "I'm going home. I'm going home." I remember thinking she must have been in some kind of shock. Maybe she'd been in an accident. Maybe she'd been walking for hours. I tried to ask, but she just shook her head each time, eyes still locked on the road ahead. Then, out of nowhere, she said, "You'll see the house. It's the one with the porch light." I nodded, though all I could see through the storm were trees and darkness. But I kept driving. And that's when I noticed her feet, muddy, scratched, bleeding. She must have walked for miles. I handed her a towel from the back seat, but she didn't take it, just kept staring forward, her lips moving soundless now. Outside, another bolt split the sky, and for a second her reflection flashed pale and hollow in the glass, like her face wasn't fully there, like I could almost see the storm through her. When I blinked, it was gone. I told myself it was the lightning, just the lightning. But the road ahead was starting to look familiar, though I'd never been out this way before. And somewhere deep in my gut I felt something twist. Something was very wrong.
The rain wasn't letting up. If anything, it had gotten worse. The kind of downpour that makes you feel like the world's ending outside your windshield. The girl hadn't said a word since we started driving. Just that quiet, steady whisper breath. I kept glancing at her, pretending it was casual, but something about her silence made the air in the car heavier. Every few minutes, lightning would flash, and for a split second her face would light up, pale, eyes wide and unfocused, like she was looking at something far away. Then darkness again, and only the soft hum of the engine. "You sure you're all right?" I finally asked, raising my voice over the storm. Nothing. I tried again. "You live around here?" This time she moved, slowly, turning her head toward me. Her eyes caught the dim dashboard glow, dark, glassy, unreadable. "I used to," she said. "Used to?" Her lips twitched, just barely. "Before." That was it. No explanation. I tried to laugh it off, tell myself she was just scared or in shock or half frozen. But every time I looked at her reflection in the window, it seemed like it wasn't quite in sync, like the reflection moved a heartbeat slower than she did. The air vents were blowing warm, but I swear it felt cold. My breath fogged faintly when I exhaled. I turned the radio on, hoping for some distraction. Static. Just endless static. I twisted the knob, flipping through dead stations, until, faintly, a voice came through. "And the time is 8:20. The words warped mid-sentence, then melted into an old song, a woman singing, low and mournful, something about coming home. I looked at her, and her lips were moving along with the lyrics, perfectly in sync, like she already knew the words. "How do you know that song?" I asked. She blinked, slow and deliberate. "My mama used to sing it, the night it happened." "The night what happened?" The question was in my throat, but I couldn't bring myself to say it. Another lightning flash lit up the trees outside, bending sideways in the wind, and in that white glare I saw her hands. They were trembling, yes, but not just from cold. Her nails were torn, dirty, like she'd been clawing at something. "You sure you don't want to stop somewhere, get warm?" I asked, already slowing the car. "No," she said, suddenly sharp. Her head snapped toward me, voice stronger now. "Don't stop. We're almost there." I glanced out at the road, just black asphalt and water reflecting lightning. "Almost where?" She smiled faintly, that eerie, distant kind of smile. "Home." The thunder hit right after that, so loud it shook the steering wheel in my hands. And through the thunder, I thought I heard it again, that same faint melody from the radio, even though I'd already switched it off. A woman's voice, soft and sad. "The rain will guide you home." I glanced at the girl. Her lips were moving, but the sound wasn't coming from her.
The rain turned the world into a tunnel. Headlights, water, trees, repeat. I kept thinking about her hands, the torn nails, the dirt packed in the cuticles like old ink. I wanted to ask, but every time I opened my mouth, the car filled with that faint humming, like the road itself was singing under us. She watched the windshield like it was a TV showing reruns of a life I couldn't see. I tried the radio again, just to prove to myself I hadn't imagined it. Static. A few stations flickered by, late-night preacher, weather alert beeping, then a quick slice of saxophone. When I passed back over the same frequency, the old song was there again. A woman's voice, low and soft, like a lullaby you don't remember learning. "The rain will guide you home." I looked at the display, no station number, just blank. The girl's lips shaped the words, silent. "Was there an accident?" I asked finally. "Back there?" She didn't answer. Instead, her gaze slid to the side window. "She sees them," she whispered, "when the glass turns bright." Lightning popped,
pure white, and her reflection flared in the passenger window. For a blink, it didn't look like her. The hair was shorter, the dress was different, thicker straps, old-fashioned, a shape at her shoulder like a hand that wasn't mine. When the dark returned, my knuckles were bone white on the wheel. Who? Who do you see? The ones who stopped, and the ones who didn't, she said softly. A curve approached, shallow but slick. I eased down, tires hissing. There was a dented guardrail ahead, fresh scrape marks gleaming wet. My gut crawled. You grew up around here? I tried again. On the road past Miller's Creek, she said automatically, then shut her eyes tight like she'd said too much. No, that's not right anymore. They changed the signs. I can turn around, I offered. Find a patrol car, a hospital. Don't turn, she said, sharper than before. Please, this time don't turn. I stared at the road and felt the words snag somewhere inside me. This time. The heater coughed. A cold thread slid through the vents like the storm had found a keyhole. The windshield fogged at the edges. In that smeared halo, I thought I saw fingerprints appear. 4 small ovals and a thumb, as if someone was pressing from outside. I wiped at it with my sleeve. The mark stayed, faded, then returned, higher time this time. The song thinned out, as if the singer had stepped farther from the microphone. The porch light by the bend. Porch light. Bend. I squinted through the rain and saw, far ahead, a warm coin of amber tucked between trees. A house? Or just one of those motion lights people put on their sheds? We're close, she said. I remember the boards on the steps. One creaks. I didn't ask how she could remember from a moving car she'd only just entered. My palms ached from holding the wheel. The guardrail gave way to a wide shoulder, and the skeleton of an old billboard, nothing on it but a faded outline where letters used to be. Another flash lit the trees, and for a heartbeat, the billboard wasn't empty. I caught the ghost of a slogan, "Welcome home," in a font older than me. The girl's head tilted, listening to something I couldn't hear. She murmured, "Left." There's no turn, I said, but the asphalt opened immediately into a narrow lane I swear hadn't been there a second earlier. 2 ruts of darker black threading into pines. The mailbox beside it was crooked, nameless, dented. She touched the dashboard with the tips of her fingers like she was blessing it. "Thank you for stopping," she said, so softly it almost wasn't sound. Anyone would have, I said, but my voice came out hoarse. Because I knew that wasn't true. Maybe plenty wouldn't. Maybe plenty hadn't. The lane swallowed us. The main road vanished behind the trees, and the storm got quieter, like it didn't want to follow. "Almost," she breathed. "Almost home." I breathed with her. In, out. The light swelled, and in the window to my right, in the wet black glass, a second driver's seat flickered into being. Another me, older or tired in a way I didn't recognize. Eyes fixed forward, jaw locked, as if he already knew the turn I was about to miss.
The lane narrowed until the branches scraped both sides of the car, whispering against the roof like dry fingers. The rain softened here, almost polite, just a thin mist hanging in the air. My headlights caught the porch light she'd mentioned, a weak yellow glow swinging in the wind. The bulb flickered once, twice, then steadied, as if it had been waiting for us. The house itself looked abandoned, the kind of place you see from a highway and assume no one's lived in for years. Paint peeled in long curls, the windows clouded with grime, porch sagging under its own memory. Yet the light burned steady above the door. "This is it," she said, and her voice carried a strange calm, like the storm outside didn't exist for her anymore. "You're sure?" I asked. "Doesn't look like anyone's home." She didn't answer. She was already reaching for the door handle. "Hey, wait!" Too late. She stepped out barefoot into the mud, the hem of her white dress catching the wind. I killed the engine and followed, umbrella forgotten. The moment I set foot on the ground, the air shifted. The smell of rain gave way to something older, damp wood and iron. The storm had stopped, but thunder still rolled somewhere far away, like it was circling. She climbed the porch steps, slow, deliberate. One creaked, just like she said, then another. I stopped at the bottom. "You live here?" I called up. She turned toward me, and for the first time she smiled. Not warm, not cold either. Just sad. I did. The light above her creaked hard, buzzing like an angry wasp. For an instant I saw her differently, her dress darker, her skin streaked with something that wasn't rain. Then it passed. "Wait," I said, stepping up. "Do you want me to come with you? I can—" "No," she whispered. "You've already gone far enough." The door creaked open on its own, slow as breath. A faint golden glow spilled out, not like electric light, more like candle fire. She looked back once, eyes glassy and wet, and said, "Thank you for stopping." Then she stepped inside. I blinked. The door swung shut. For a long time I just stood there, listening. No footsteps, no voices, nothing. Then I knocked, once, twice. The sound was swallowed by the house. "Miss? Are you okay?" When I finally pushed the door open, my stomach dropped. The hall was empty, dusty, no glow, no candles. The air was stale, thick with the smell of old rain. Cobwebs hung from the ceiling. The light bulb above the porch was off. Dead. And on the floor, just by the threshold, were 5 wet footprints, small, bare, leading a few steps in, then fading into nothing. I backed out, heart pounding, and stumbled down the steps. The storm had completely stopped now. Crickets, wet earth, silence. When I looked back from the car, the porch light was on again. Only this time, the front door was closed tight, and in the window beside it, just for a second, I saw her watching me. I don't remember getting back into the car, just the click of the door closing, my own shaky breathing, and that house staring back at me through the rain-smeared windshield. The porch light glowed steady again, and behind the thin curtain of the second window, I swore I saw her face, pale, still, watching. I blinked hard, rubbed at my eyes, but she didn't vanish this time, just stood there, hands resting on the glass, the same trembling fingers I'd seen in the car. "Hey!" I shouted through the cracked window, voice breaking. "You okay in there?" No movement. No answer. Something in me said to go back, to knock again, to make sure. But another part, deeper and older, whispered, "Don't." That same part that makes you slow down at the edge of a cliff without knowing why. I started the engine. The radio flickered on by itself. No static this time, just that song again. The same soft, broken voice. "The rain will guide you home." My breath froze in my chest. I turned the knob, hit every button, but it wouldn't stop. The volume climbed slowly, like a heartbeat getting closer. Then, over the music, came a new sound. A faint, wet knock from the back seat window. I turned, half expecting her. Nothing. Just the dark outline of the forest beyond the glass. When I looked forward again, the song had stopped. Silence. But the windshield was fogged from the inside. I leaned closer, wiped it with my sleeve, and froze. Someone had written something with a fingertip on the fog, the letters uneven, trembling. Thank you. My mouth went dry. Outside, the porch light flickered 3 times, then went out completely. And in the sudden dark, lightning split the sky again, bright enough to turn night into day for a heartbeat. The house was empty. The window was empty. Only the rain remained, soft and steady, washing the road clean like nothing had ever happened. I drove off slowly, too afraid to look back. But a few miles down, just as the storm began to fade, I caught a flash in my mirrors, someone walking on the shoulder, white dress clinging to her skin, bare feet splashing through puddles, heading home. Still heading home.
I told myself I wasn't going back, that I'd just keep driving until the sun came up, until the storm was a memory and that house was miles behind me. But somehow the road didn't agree. The further I went, the more familiar it looked. Same trees, same cracked asphalt, same faded yellow lines. After a while, I realized my gas gauge hadn't moved. The needle sat exactly where it was an hour ago. Then I saw it again. The same bent guardrail, the same puddle reflecting the sky. My stomach turned to ice. I was back at the bend. The rain had stopped completely now, but mist curled low over the road, silver and heavy. I slowed down, heart thudding. That's when I noticed the sign at the turn. A wooden post, half-rotted, letters carved deep, in memory of Lily May. The name felt like a whisper I'd already heard. I stared at it, the air thick in my lungs. Someone had left wilted flowers at the base, long dead, but still arranged neatly, like someone kept coming back to replace them. Lightning flared again in the distance, and for a split second I saw the figure. Same white dress, same dripping hair, standing just beyond the sign. I hit the brakes. She didn't move, just stood there, one hand resting on the post, her head tilted slightly, like she recognized me. "Lily?" I said, before I even thought about it. The wind picked up, carrying a faint echo of that song, softer now, farther away. "The rain will guide you home." She turned then, slowly, gracefully, and pointed toward the dark stretch of forest behind the sign. The motion was gentle, almost pleading. I rolled the window down, the night air thick and cold. "What do you want?" No answer. Another flash, and in that brief light, I saw her face clearly for the first time. Not angry, not afraid, just tired, like someone who's been walking too long in the rain. When the darkness fell again, she was gone. The road ahead lay empty, quiet except for the soft hiss of my tires against wet pavement. I pressed the gas, just wanting to get away. But as I drove, the radio crackled to life once more. Only this time, there was no song. Just a voice, old, trembling, female.
"She's been trying to go home for 20 years," it said. "Don't you see her? She never left that bend." The voice faded into static, and as I glanced into the rearview mirror, I saw the porch light again, burning far off in the mist, even though the house was miles behind me. Still waiting, still shining for her.
By dawn, the mist had thinned into low, rolling clouds that clung to the treetops. I drove until I saw the first sign of life, a cluster of houses huddled together, smoke rising from one chimney. My hands were trembling when I pulled over beside a sagging porch. An old woman stood there, wrapped in a blanket, a tin mug steaming in her hand. She looked like she'd been expecting someone. "You're out early?" she said, voice rough but steady. I nodded, trying to sound normal. "There's a house down the road, light on the porch. Thought someone might be in trouble." Her face didn't change, but her grip on the mug tightened. "What road?" "The one by the bend, about 5 miles back. There's a sign that says, 'In memory of Lily May.'" She went still. The mug shook slightly, spilling a thin ribbon of tea onto the boards. "You saw her, didn't you?" My mouth went dry. "A girl, yeah. White dress. Said she was going home." The old woman's eyes filled with something that wasn't quite surprise, more like a quiet grief that had been waiting to be spoken. "Child," she said softly, "Lily May died on that bend 20 years ago tonight. Lightning struck her car. Folks found it upside down in the creek the next morning." I just stared. The words didn't fit inside my head. "She was coming back from a dance," the woman went on, her voice far away now. "Storm rolled in fast. They say she got out to walk after her car stalled. Her mama left the porch light on that night. Said she'd keep it burning till her girl came home." The woman looked past me, eyes unfocused, like she could still see the glow through the trees. "Every year when the thunder comes, folks claim they see her, walking barefoot along the road, looking for that light." I swallowed hard. I picked her up. She was real. Cold, wet, and shaken. She sat in my car." The woman gave a slow nod. "She always finds someone kind enough to stop. Not everyone does, but she never makes it past the porch. That's where she belongs now." A gust of wind rattled the tin roof, and I flinched. The old woman's eyes softened. "Don't be afraid. You did right by her. You helped her find the way again." I looked back toward the misty road. The bend was hidden now, the trees thick and quiet. For a moment I thought I heard the faint hum of that same song, the one the radio kept playing. The woman must have heard it too, because she smiled faintly. "That's her mama's song," she said. "She used to sing it every night, waiting." My throat tightened. "What happened to her mother?" "She passed on years ago," she said. "But maybe she's the one calling Lily home now." The porch light on the farthest house flickered just then. Once. Twice. The old woman turned her head toward it. "Guess she found her." And for the first time since the storm began, the sky went completely quiet. I sat there on the edge of that porch long after the old woman went back inside. The air smelled like wet pine and wood smoke. The sun was trying to break through the clouds, but the light felt wrong, pale and weak, like it didn't really want to touch that road again. Eventually, I got back in the car. The seat was still damp from the night before, my jacket too.
I turned the key, and the engine hesitated before catching. A dry, tired sound. The dashboard clock blinked 12:01. It had reset sometime during the storm. For a while, I just drove in silence. No radio, no thoughts. The road curved gently downhill toward the creek, and I told myself I'd see it in daylight now, prove to myself it was all just weather and exhaustion. But when I reached the bend, something made me slow down. The guardrail was there, dented and rusted, same as before. Beside it, the flowers. Only now they looked fresh. Bright white lilies, drops of dew still clinging to their petals. I pulled over, heart beating too fast, got out. The world was completely still. No birds, no wind, just the hush that comes after a storm when everything's listening. That's when I saw it. Down in the ditch where the creek curved away, half covered by weeds, was the shape of a car. An old one. Faded blue, the roof crushed in, vines curling through the open windows. A piece of white fabric fluttered from the doorframe, caught on a jagged edge of metal. The smell hit me then. Rust and earth and rainwater gone sour. I stumbled closer until I could see the license plate, crusted with mud. The year sticker was so old it had almost flaked away. Something told me to stop, but I crouched anyway, brushing the mud from the back bumper. Beneath the grime, a small charm hung from the taillight, a silver cross. I'd seen it before, hanging from the girl's wrist when she had sat beside me. The air shifted, not colder, just heavier. And then I heard her. Not a whisper time, but a clear voice, soft and close to my ear. "Thank you for bringing me home." I turned, heart hammering, but there was only the creek, the trees, and a thin line of mist rising from the water. When I climbed back into the car, the radio turned itself on. The same song played, but this time the voice was different, fainter. At peace. The rain will guide you home. I sat there until the song ended. Then the radio went quiet for good. As I pulled away, I glanced once more in the rearview mirror. The porch light on the far hill flickered one last time, then went out. I thought leaving that town would lift the weight from my chest, but the farther I drove, the heavier it got, like something in that bend had latched on to the silence inside me. Every mile stretched thin, the world washed clean, but somehow emptier. By afternoon, the storm had vanished completely. The sky was a pale, washed-out blue, the kind that makes everything look like a faded photograph. I passed gas stations, open fields, a diner with a crooked, open sign, normal things, but none of them felt real. I kept glancing in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see her walking again, that same white figure by the shoulder. But all I saw was the long strip of highway dissolving into heat. At one point I pulled over just to breathe. The wind was warm now, carrying the smell of wet grass. I leaned against the car and let my eyes close for a moment. That's when I heard it, a faint humming. Not thunder, not a song, just humming. A woman's voice, drifting through the trees from somewhere behind me. I turned, heart pounding, but there was nothing there, only an old mailbox standing crooked in the ditch, rusted, nameless, familiar. The same one from that hidden lane. I walked closer, The box was empty, but carved faintly into the side were letters, shallow, uneven, but readable if you looked long enough. L.M. Home. A cold rush went through me. I backed away, tripping over my own feet. The humming stopped. When I looked up, the road ahead shimmered, just for a second, like it was covered in heat haze. Through it, I thought I saw a porch, a door, a light. Then it was gone. I climbed back into the car, trying to tell myself fatigue was playing tricks. But when I turned the ignition, the radio came to life again. No static this time, no song, just that voice. Not hers, the old woman's. "She's home now," it said, quietly. "But she remembers who stopped." Then silence. The display on the radio blinked 12 o'clock again. I don't remember the rest of the drive. Just open road, the slow fade of daylight, and a feeling in my bones that I hadn't really left that place. When I finally reached the next town, I booked a cheap motel. The clerk slid the key across the counter, glanced up at me, and said, almost absently, "Storm catch you last night?" "Yeah," I said, "something like that." He smiled. "They say it always hits hardest near Miller's Creek. Some old story about a girl who never made it home." My hand froze on the key. "Yeah," I said quietly. "I think I met her." That night, I couldn't sleep. The rain started again, soft, steady, like a heartbeat on the roof. And from somewhere outside, faint but unmistakable, came the sound of footsteps, slow, bare, moving past my window, heading home, still heading home.
The rain stopped just before dawn. I sat up in the motel bed, still half dreaming, unsure if I'd actually slept. The world outside the thin curtain was gray and wet, the kind of quiet that follows a storm when everything's waiting to exhale. I packed my things slowly, like a man trying not to wake something that might still be sleeping. The radio clock by the bed blinked 12 o'clock, same as the one in my car. I didn't bother to fix it. When I stepped outside, the air felt cleaner, lighter somehow. The pavement glistened, puddles catching the first pink edge of sunrise. I told myself I'd drive straight home this time. No detours, no turns, no stops. But when I started the engine, the headlights flicked on by themselves, both beams pointing down the empty road ahead, cutting through a thin curtain of mist. And just for a moment, in the reflection of the rearview mirror, I thought I saw someone sitting beside me. Not solid, not even quite there, just a soft outline, a shadow of white where the passenger seat met the light. I didn't turn my head. I just whispered, "You found it." The air warmed slightly, like the sun had broken through the clouds, even though the sky was still dull and gray. The faintest hum filled the car. Not the song, not words, just the sound of peace. Then it faded. I drove until the road widened and the forest gave way to open fields. When I looked back one last time, the mist was gone, and the horizon behind me glowed faintly gold. But I swear, far in the distance, I saw one small light still burning, steady and warm, like a porch light waiting in the rain. And I knew it wasn't for me. It was for anyone else who might drive that road on a stormy night, tired, alone, headlights slicing through thunder, and see a girl in a white dress
walking barefoot along the shoulder, whispering that she's going home. Maybe next time someone else will stop. Maybe next time she won't have to. I sat there a long moment before driving on, watching the dawn rise behind me. The light on the horizon flickered once, then stayed on, always on.